the Geek Patrol and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today's episode of Geek Tank Radio is brought to you by Jabba the Hutt's new line of premium mystery-flavored lunch meats. I don't want to know what's in them. And
I'm waiting for the deodorant line to come out, too.
Oddly, I got a science story related to that.
These they're a little gritty. They're very, I don't know. Is this the meat of his enemies? Or
well, no, that gets fed to the Rancor.
Okay.
You gotta feed the Rancor something.
The guy's a businessman and an entrepreneur, so for that, we have to at least respect him. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm not even looking at Brandon, and I already know he's shooting daggers at me.
No, this is actually one of your tamer ones.
Okay. Hey, guys, I'm going to be careful about what I tease today because I already have this sense that the show may go in unexpected directions. And so I don't want to tease something that we don't get to, and I also want to keep
the U2 song that says she moves in mysterious ways?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway.
Geek Tank is a fickle mistress.
I don't know that I even introduced this. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And we've got a couple of observers. I don't know whether we'll throw them on the microphone or not, but my daughter Michaela and her, whatever. Her Jackson is here.
We're not labeling their relationship until they tell us.
And
they're watching, and they're rolling their eyes already as well. So I think one thing we are going to get to, though, you guys, we're probably going to talk about this Avatar sequel, 15 years later?
Yes.
However long ago, The Way of Water.
Well,
Alan has high hopes for this movie. I'm sort of...
I'm going to tell you, Joe, it takes time to develop really good camera tricks, and they have all new ones.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It's gorgeous.
Is that enough to... Okay,
From
anyway.
a tech point of view, we got a lot to talk about.
I have... Okay, anyway. But we may creep into a science story. We may not. I'm not going to say, Alan, because like I say, today is going to be an organically grown show. But before we get to any of that, I want to mention something on the air that is important to say, and it's I'm happy to admit my flaws. I am not nearly as good at Brandon at certain things. Brandon is heads of light years beyond us when it comes to celebrating the holidays, and in particular Christmas. Now, Brandon, you brought us some great Christmas gifts last week, and you said you were done with your Christmas shopping probably 3 weeks ago.
I will admit that the last present I had to buy was Max's, actually.
Okay, but you are a master of giving gifts, because I'll tell you this: you bought us the Christmas present you bought for me is sitting on my fireplace, proudly displayed. And even my wife approves, which that's no easy feat.
It's really nice.
What is the trick, Brandon? How do you pick out such good Christmas gifts?
Here's the thing. When I go into a place, it's like I go in there with the mindset that, all right, I'm going in, I'm going to find a gift for somebody. And then I start looking for something that reminds me of that person. Okay. Something that kind of calls out their name. He doesn't listen to the show, so I can go ahead and pick on my friend Christian. He is a big fan of obscure characters in the Star Wars universe. So I bought him
the B-roll characters.
Right.
So, yeah.
I got him the Darth Revan changing lightsaber, the elite one. Darth Revan was a Jedi, and then he turned to the dark side. His lightsaber went from purple to red. We gave him his gift early, so it's not really a big surprise. But he turned into like a 2-year-old. And if anybody's ever been to a movie where the Geek Patrol has shown up, Christian's the really loud big dude who seems to follow us around like a lost puppy.
Yeah, if he has a fault, he talks way too loud during the previews and even during the movie.
But
good dude, but
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let everybody know what I got you. And it's because if anybody's a fan of Tool Talk, they know about your fights with squirrels.
Yeah, we had years of battles keeping the squirrels out of our house.
So I walked into a GameStop, and I wasn't even looking to pick up a gift for you at that point, but I came across a flocked, which people, that means it's fuzzy, giant pop. It's a 10-inch pop of Deadpool as a squirrel. Because
it's a pretty cool squirrel.
With all the trouble that he's had over the years, Joe has to realize that his squirrels are not normal.
No, they're armed and they're weaponized. So but that was perfect. And like I said, even my wife likes it. So it's up on our fireplace mantle.
Truthfully, about the last week of September, I start gearing up for my birthday, which is the 1st of October. And then I don't stop celebrating holidays until after the new year.
Yeah. I mean, so in other words, you might, and you do your shopping at conventions too.
I do. I buy a lot of stuff at the cons. I like to support local artists, and we tend to have a lot of them at MCFC. And I'll pick up stuff there. I'll pick up stuff at the Memphis Comic Expo that Donnie
That's a big
Youngly puts
shopping
out.
place. Yeah.
There's so much cool stuff that you find at conventions that you don't find in your big box stores, and you might find it online, but you're going to pay to get it to you.
Okay. So you put an effort into it.
I
It's
do.
not like an obligation for you.
No, and it's like I don't expect recompense either. I don't buy gifts so that I get gifts. I buy gifts to see people like you go, "Oh my God, that's amazing!"
Huh. We need more people like Brandon in the world right now.
We really do.
I guess. Although I don't know, you might perpetuate.
And just so you know, I'm announcing my candidacy for 2024. I don't know what I'm running for yet, but yeah.
Okay.
We'll run you for something. It's
So
all
the
right.
secret is basically just putting yourselves in their shoes, more
Right.
or less. So
Know your audience.
I would say another point, just as an observer, it probably sounds like the best thing is to not just say, "Oh, it's a week before Christmas. I better start doing my shopping," because that's kind of my approach. And it sounds like this is a year-round campaign. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are gifts that are currently under my tree that were picked up back in June.
Huh. Okay.
When we were at Anime Blues.
That's interesting. So, Alan,
He's
you
a
don't.
stalking opportunist.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. You and I are sort of the same cloth. I don't know. The part of me is I just Christmas is so commercial.
Let's stop for a minute. Alan is a dang good gift giver. He feeds us.
Okay. Well, that's true. Yeah.
And if you've never had his mandarin cranberry sauce, you were missing out.
that
Okay.
was good.
It was
good.
amazing.
That was good.
Now you need to have Mandarin Mandalorian cranberry sauce
I
for the
can do that.
holidays.
Well,
I
that's
can
got
do
to go
that.
with the Java meats.
Yeah, that's gonna go. But
I don't think Alan's is as selfless though as you. Alan, in all
Oh no,
with all
no,
due
no,
respect,
no. We have to admit, Alan's is extremely selfless because he sacrifices his time to cook so he doesn't kill us.
Yeah, but see, by cooking these these incredible things, it's also an opportunity to show off and feed his ego. So it's different
yeah.
than what you. Although maybe Brandon, that's what you're all about. Maybe you just want to be known as the world's greatest gift giver, and this is a ego boost.
No,
and maybe what you're doing is actually selfish.
I'm humble enough to realize there are people much better than me. I mean,
and the nanotech
we've
you
got
put
those-
in your gift.
we've got those people that give away giant cars every year.
Okay, I don't know. Well, I felt like it was worthy. If nothing else, Brandon
I
deserved a
appreciate
shout
it.
out because Brandon, you do good things and you deserves to be heard. Okay, now this is going to be interesting. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Avatar sequel, and I think this is going to turn into a big battle here on the air. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And visiting for the holidays a little ahead of time is my daughter Michaela and Jackson. And Jackson, it's good to have you here. I don't know what to call you guys. I mean, boyfriend, whatever. So, but they're good kids.
They're grown people, Joe.
They're grown. But anyway, hey, it's good. You guys may chime in, right? You're sort of professional observers, but
I
you
just
might.
might
Okay.
give my film opinion about it.
Jackson,
Yeah.
have you ever been on the radio before? So.
Nope, first time.
Okay. Talk loud and don't be boring. So, anyway. All right. Hey, guys.
Man, I
so-
wish we'd told other guests that.
Okay.
Did we tell our showrunner?
No.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, here's what I was going to. We wanted to talk about Avatar, The Way of Water, which is a
Yep.
sequel to a movie that came out, 2010 or something? I don't even remember when it came out.
It's been a minute.
It was
9
a
years
big
ago.
movie when it came out based on. Everybody was talking about the CGI.
It wasn't a big movie. It was the movie.
Okay, go ahead, Max. What were you
My
saying?
question is the way of water, is the water going to be the enemy?
Okay, Max. He loves to derail things. This is what I remember.
You're using that 98.9 humor right there, Mac. You
Yeah.
got to pull that back.
Here's what I remember about this, and I'm not being cynical. I'm just being realistic. Okay, James Cameron, after Titanic, could pretty much write his own ticket. He
Right.
could do whatever he want. He could spend however many hundreds of millions of dollars to
Yes.
make this Avatar
Yes, he
movie.
could.
They made a big fuss about the special effects and about the CGI.
They
that was
developed new camera technology for that movie.
So my point of that's all great. It's interesting to watch. However, as our buddy Craig Brewer would remind us, the top of the pyramid when it comes to any movie should be the story. Everything else is subservient to that. So I don't care how great the special effects are if it's not a good story. So that's my jumping off point.
All right. Well, and here's where as not mainstream geeks, because we're more in the superhero geek department.
Okay.
You're more of a Batman type. I am
Don't
more of an
pigeonhole Brandon.
esoteric.
He'll fight back. But.
Brandon's already went, so it's all right because Brandon has many, many varied interests. But the simple fact is,
I get obsessed.
It's a massive blockbuster movie. It was creative, brand new tech.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it was probably one of the first movies that ever did plug and play. Translation, when you put the goggles on, you're not walking around the soundstage anymore. You're on Pandora. So you put on the goggles, and
I don't know what goggles you're talking about.
Okay,
you put on the VR goggles like you're playing Pokemon, and you can actually see not your actor or actress running up the big foam ramp, but you see them running up the big moss-covered tree.
Okay, so Joe, what you've got here is I know I'm gonna walk away from the technology for a minute because I know that's foreign to you. We are going to talk about story because that's where you're
where I go.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a great story about people who are trying to mine a material that could help all of humanity, and the only place to get it is on this planet with these 8-foot-tall blue creatures,
Right.
and they don't take well to outsiders.
No.
So you have to go in as one of them.
Yeah, I
and
remember
we're
the
trying
movie,
to do that.
but,
All right. So,
okay.
but it basically it's about being thrown into a different culture and learning that maybe we shouldn't mess with things that we don't completely understand, especially in a warlike manner.
So it's pretty
is
much
how
that.
ends up.
It's pretty much that Kevin Costner film Dances with
That's
Wolves.
what I was like. Okay, it
It's
sounds
Dances,
like Dances
with Wolves.
It's
Fern Gully.
Yeah.
It's a story trope
It's Princess
that has
Mononoke.
existed since long before there was, digital or analog film or any of that stuff. People have been writing stories about this. You could probably walk it back and find a biblical parable about the same kind of stuff.
Sure.
Walking into somebody else's shoes.
It's a time-honored story that just keeps getting updated depending on what the medium is.
Okay. So
I know Max has probably got a Japanese scroll that tells the story from something ancient.
I could probably recite it in its original classical
You
Japanese
probably
too.
can.
Hey, Jackson, when's the last time, Jackson and Michaela, I'm going to ask you, when's the last time you actually watched Avatar?
Like end of high school, middle of college. So
So-
like 3 years ago.
Okay, Jackson, about,
Yeah, sometime when I was in high school, and that was probably the last time I walked into an IMAX movie theater too.
oh, you saw it at the theater? Okay, and okay,
Yeah.
I don't
Full
know. I haven't
IMAX,
seen it in
full
probably
immersion, right?
7 years. Okay, but anyway, so now this
I got to see it in IMAX earlier this year.
So the
When-
movie
when
is
they
I guess
held-
I'm
released
just
it.
sort of cynical because I'm like,
right.
well,
The
I don't
movie
know.
is held up.
Yeah.
And as we proved with Maverick, the nostalgia factor for a story. And if you don't think there wasn't a great story in Maverick, there were numerous points where
That's
you
a
got a
great movie.
good story punch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a solid right in the nose punch.
If you didn't get
You
emotional,
two need to watch that movie. It's really good.
spoiler alert, if you
Yeah.
didn't get emotional at the funeral scene,
Oh my gosh!
then you
Yeah.
don't have
Well,
a
don't
soul.
give her a spoiler. She hasn't seen it yet. So, okay. All right. Well, let's
It's
talk
a-
about
it's an action
I
movie.
just want you to
Somebody
know that
dies.
scene
you know.
is
There is
actually
a
in
funeral.
every trailer.
All right, but there's so this movie's coming out. What we started this with, Alan, is you claim this is going to be the biggest movie out there, and
It's
Brandon
gonna
and I,
be.
are we in agreement? I think it's wishful
I am
thinking.
not in agreement with you for the same reason.
Okay.
But I do believe that it's not going to be the biggest movie, and I will tell you exactly why.
All right. Well,
It is going to get undercut because of its length.
Yeah, it is long.
it's pretty long. huh?
It is long.
And we all know that in 90 days it's going to be on Disney Plus.
See, that's to me the big difference.
When you add the technology and post-pandemic, it's still going to be a massive movie.
Oh,
it's going to bring
it
in
is
a ton of money.
It's going to bring in a good chunk of money. That's no doubt.
Yeah.
But in order for them to justify 4, 3's already been shot and
Yeah.
the post-production's done. So it's coming out anyway. There's 2 more sequels that are scheduled for that, but they've already said that unless this hits by the time of this box office ending, if it is not the number 4 or 5th highest grossing movie of all time, there will not be a 4.
Wait a minute. They're doing the Fantastic Beast business model because
we
saw where that went.
No. See, there's a difference.
They already said how many they're making?
There's a difference. J.K. Rowling pissed off her fan base.
Okay.
Cameron has kept people happy.
Cameron has done a remarkable things. So,
I want to I want to carry this over because I'm curious.
Okay.
You know, one thing we didn't mention is in college, Michaela, you were a film study. You study story.
Yes.
You actually have opinions. You and I have long conversations
We
about
have
this.
conversations about it.
So I'm kind of more. I'm kind of curious what
Cool.
she thinks of all this stuff.
I don't know. Like, I have not seen the trailer for the new Avatar, which I think is the best going into a movie blank, honestly.
Yeah.
But I feel as if, like, just hearing you guys describe it, they might be beating a dead horse by the time, like, the 4th sequel comes out. So that kind of makes me a little nervous.
Okay, we're gonna pick up that. So speaking of beating a dead horse, you're listening to Geek Tank Radio. We're gonna take a quick break and continue our conversation about Avatar: The Way of Water. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass, and visiting my daughter from Knoxville and her boyfriend Jackson. Good kids. It's always fun to have them around. And I'm glad we don't record off the air because Brandon once again triggered everybody, got us upset. And Michaela, I think you and I are on the same page when it comes to story.
I'm going to say Brandon is excellent at the flagellation of deceased equines.
Okay. You know, somehow we were saying we were going to talk about this Avatar
I got
movie,
beaten sticks for days.
The Way of Water, but what really it's launching a bigger conversation about the way movies are promoted, the notion that they've already announced that there's going to be 4 movies, which I think is a huge mistake. They did that
5.
for 5. They did that for Fantastic Beasts, and we've already seen they may not even finish those. We may not even get a 4th one.
But the thing was,
which
is in order to get the financing for the extra 4 sequels, Cameron had to give them his story treatment that told the outline for it in order to get the financing. J.K. Rowling just said, "Yeah, I'll write scripts for Newt's commander, and we want him to mumble."
Yeah, no kidding. But so here's my counterpoint to all that. Now I know this is 1977 and it was before the internet and all the other stuff. But
I was born that year.
back in the day, George Lucas had what? How many stories was Star Wars? At that
One.
point, it was
9.
Well, it was 9 chapters. He decided to start with chapter 4 because basically, if this movie bombed, that was all they were going to get. It got a sequel because it earned one. So that's what I was going to ask Michaela, because you're kind of on the same page with me, right? You don't just announce we're going to do all these sequels if they don't earn it.
Well, no, and I can agree with you on that when it's something that's not even remotely expected. When you're like, all right, we got this independent dude. He did that American Graffiti movie. He's doing something in space. One of the models for a ship is a tennis shoe. I don't get it, but okay.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
there's a giant
and then-
Pekingese on the
right,
set.
Right. But Cameron, with the first Avatar, because it quickly became the highest grossing movie of all time, he could write his own ticket. So telling people he's got stories that last for another 4 sequels, that's the thing. Even then, they were like, all right, we need a script treatment. We need a story treatment. We need to know where you're going, because the last thing we need is basically the shawarma scene as Avatar 4.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just curious. Are you two excited about seeing this, or do you?
I mean, I probably will eventually go see it, or I'll probably wait until it's like out and I can watch it at home. But
That's
I'm
the smart
indifferent,
move.
honestly.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't care whether it's in the theater or not.
I
so.
don't. I thought the first story was so good enough that it's like it should have just ended there. But I get why they're wanting to dive deeper.
That's why I kind of like when movies are just standalone. Like, I don't want a sequel for the Joker movie.
You're getting it anyway.
I know. I'm saying I
And
think
it might
sometimes
be a
sequels.
musical.
Oh, you talk about me triggering people. Now you got me on the DC cake.
I want to ask you something because I'm trying to let my daughter talk a little bit. So, Michaela, you've written.
Y'all can do a podcast later.
You've got ideas for stories. When you write it, do you think, okay, I got to write a trilogy? Do you
No.
think that way, or do you just have a story?
I feel like it's just a story, and then it's just building off of that and seeing if it needs any more depth of it. But I kind of like things that it's just it cuts the fat out, and it just talks about what's needing to be talked about. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's
You
my
don't
thing.
actually have a publisher, do you?
See, that's the problem. There's all these artificial
Let me
things.
tell you how this is going to work.
I was gonna say, wait a second. I thought you were a fan of the Batman.
I am, but they deserve a sequel. And
No.
also, we haven't heard. Huh?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, what?
We're talking about a movie that before it had even gotten to theaters, we weren't sure if this new experimental take on Batman was going to work. but they had already signed off on 2 TV series spinoffs, the Penguin and the Gotham Arkham connection thing, and that was before they ever announced a sequel to that movie.
I'm willing to look the other way for Batman, but
And that's
I mean,
because
and that's the problem.
that's the problem.
okay. So yeah, I'll compromise my morals for
Yeah.
that one. So, but
So will everybody else in Gotham. It's okay.
See, so
All
will
right.
so will the 9,500 incels who are going to go see, Joker Folie à Deux, and then when they realize it's an actual musical, are going to walk out.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well-
have no interest in that. But okay.
So-
But Alan, you feel I feel like you're waffling because you came in
I'm not waffling. I'm not
strutting your
waffling.
stuff this
Oh, no,
morning,
he's-
saying this is going to be the biggest
this
movie
is,
ever.
I still am going to stick to the guns that by the time it has finished its full run, however, you do have to caveat, I have to agree with Brandon, the tech has changed in the time it took to make this movie.
The thing-
Sensibilities have changed.
The thing
We've
that's
had a
going to
pandemic. We've nearly lost movie theaters. We've gotten used to HBO Max. We've gotten used to a variety of other venues in the ensuing years. I'm curious to see what happens because this movie was such a massive hit that people were in therapy trying to get over wanting to be on Pandora.
that's
That is
true.
that is actually
not-
that is
that's
not
not a
even
joke.
made up.
There's like 8 million things that'll kill you if you walk out of your tree.
It doesn't
I mean,
matter.
Who wants to live
It
there?
doesn't matter.
Australians, because that's 2 million
All right.
less.
All right, Gothamite, you can die trying to get to the grocery store and back in Gotham. Somebody's going to kill you,
Okay.
steal your
I
body,
live in
and
Memphis.
convert
That's-
you into
that's
a
still a
pig
possibility.
monster.
Okay.
Well, all right, he's worried about the environment of Pandora. At least it's cute. Gotham's ugly, and Gotham
Yeah.
smells bad.
If I get eat by a giant sea dragonfly, that's better than getting attacked by, like the Joker or Killer Croc.
Yeah, well, Killer Croc, that'd be a great way to go. In the sewer. Again,
Okay.
Gotham smells bad. Pandora at least looks clean.
Okay, but when you're saying a success, the biggest movie, you're counting streaming numbers. You're counting.
Well, that's what you count at the end of all this. That's what makes something a success or not.
Do they get paid for that? Like, I guess I'm just wondering how the money breaks down.
There's a contractual,
You got a lot of lawyers.
contractual setup where they will get so much off of new subscriptions that come in during a release window of a movie on streaming. Well, someone like Cameron would.
Yes.
If me and you went and directed Geek Tank the movie, we'll be lucky if we see
I got
more
cameras.
money here than we will see there.
Dude, I got cameras. This can be done.
New subscriptions. Everybody's already got Disney Plus, so
No, they don't.
No, they
I
don't.
don't-
And there's
A
a
lot
lot
of
of
people already
people,
canceled them.
as you talked about before, who are willing to let that lapse and bring it back when it's time for the next season of The Mandalorian.
every time I think I'm going to drop it, something
They
new
drop
comes
something
out.
new out.
The Bad Batch. Or
Hey,
the,
hey, dude, they suckered me in, and I watched the Santa Clauses, and I had a good time.
It's funny now
Well,
that I
there you
think
go.
of it, Brandon. I can't even remember what I watched. I think I bought Disney Plus for The Mandalorian, and years later I haven't looked back. I don't know. All right, I don't know if we'll continue this.
We
I don't
will.
know. This
We're
show's
done.
all over the map.
We're done.
We're going to come back and have a nice civilized conversation here on Geek Tank Radio.
No, we're not.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And visiting in from Knoxville, my daughter Michaela and her boyfriend Jackson. And they're here. I don't know what, they have sort of a stunned look on their face. Radio is it's a very different format, isn't it, you guys, than
It's a little
filming.
different.
Michaela's actually studied filmmaking. She watches, watching movies with her is interesting unless she doesn't like it, and then you pick it apart, don't you? So
I'll dissect it. I'm a little critical,
Yeah.
I'll say.
Same thing as sitting here watching a movie with Brandon.
I'm kind of
He starts
eager
laughing.
to move along from this Way of Waters
I mean,
Okay.
discussion. But Michaela, you did make a good point off the air that I wanted you to mention about.
No, just the way, like I said, I haven't seen a trailer for this movie or anything, but just hearing you guys describing it was making me think, going back to beating a dead horse, is just going to be like all the Shrek sequels? Are we just going to see the Avatar fall in love again, have a child, and then it's like you just kind of don't care after the third movie type
Right.
of thing? you know?
The Shrek sequels, that's an interesting thing, too.
Because who cares after Shrek 2? You know, any of the things that followed along after that.
I don't know. Puss in Boots is probably going to be massive once again.
Joe,
Yeah.
there's more than one Shrek movie?
Yeah, no kidding.
No, I'm
It's
kidding.
like- but
I've seen them all. I've even seen the holiday specials for both Halloween and Christmas.
we're just going to watch this and see how it unplays. And
But
I don't wish anything
want-
bad on this movie, but hey, go ahead.
I know. I really don't wish anything bad. I want it to be an enjoyable movie. I want it to be more interesting than just, Jake Sully getting old and meeting his grandkids.
Yeah.
Because who cares about that story anymore?
Right.
But at the same time, Alan, I don't think it's going to be what we expected, what we got with the first one. I don't think
we'll
it's going
find
to be
out.
something like
We'll find out.
Okay. Hey, real quick, I want to mention something, just a point of housekeeping here. In, what is it, 2 weeks? No, 3. What is the math here? 3 weeks. We're going to be...
So January 6th and 7th, we have ShadowCon. And January 7th, we have Anime Blues Remix.
Yeah, didn't they learn from last year? So they scheduled the same weekend again.
There is but there's a benefit to that.
Okay.
I think there is a thing that if you showed up at Anime Blues with your ShadowCon badge, they don't make fun of you.
No. Okay.
I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, it turns out that the only weekend they could get, because whatever's going on, and we've seen this, working
venues are difficult.
Venues are really difficult to book right now.
Yeah.
Not only are all the prices going up, but it's like everything's booked between now and like 2025.
Right. So ShadowCon, which has been around for what, Alan, 20-something years. It's been around quite a while. It's all your
Mid-'80s.
medieval or whatever. It's all your
It's your
SCA.
SCA people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Society for Creative Anachronism.
I'd say slightly older audience. Anime Blues is the high energy. They do the biggest. They do have the biggest convention here in Memphis in the summertime, but then they do a 1-day kind of expo approach. It's called Anime Blues Winter Remix, and it's a lot of fun. But we're gonna be at both because that's the way we operate.
Yeah.
So we hope you'll visit our booth.
We are splitting off our anime team and sending them that way. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So and Michaela, you've been to Anime Blues, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Years past.
You've
Yeah.
grown up in that environment. So your parents forced you. Well, your father forced you to go to these. But
a little therapy, you'd be all right. You'd be
Yeah,
all
forced experience. It was great, though.
it's a great place for shopping, you got to admit.
Good. Yeah.
All right, Brandon, you wanted to chime in, and because
you brought up streaming services. You brought up HBO Max.
Yeah.
Alan did, and it makes me go. It makes me angry.
Yeah,
Because,
that's what
all
we
right,
want
so,
on.
So check it out.
That's what we want on our holiday episode. Anger.
Me and David Zaslav are going to come to blows if I can just get him out in public.
Wait, he's the head of.
He's the head of Warner Brothers Discovery.
Okay.
He is my mortal enemy. He just doesn't know it yet. Now, the things that are coming out right now, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe James Gunn has kicked Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill to the curb. He's starting the thing over because, well, let's just say it's been ruined. I don't care if you love the Snyderverse or not or whatever, anything like that. It is such a mess over at DC. They're having to do things from a different point of view. Don't worry, Joe. Your Matt Reeves Batman stuff is safe.
Oh yeah, of course.
But one of the latest things that's going on right now is that they are having to cut things from HBO Max in order to try and make up this debt that nobody knew existed until Discovery took over Warner Brothers. They've just canceled the second half of the Nevers, which was an amazing female-empowered period piece, which just women with powers.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
The Nevers.
They got rid of Minx, which I can't really describe on terrestrial radio, but if you know the show, it's a really good show. They just finished filming season 2, and instead of airing season 2, they have cut it from the books and they have removed season 1. Those are being shopped around right now to Lionsgate. You think about all these other things that they've pulled off lately. It looks like that Superman and Lois, which has been on the CW for its first 3 years, is going to go to Amazon next instead of coming to HBO Max when it's done.
Huh.
Netflix still has the majority of the CW shows, which should be on HBO Max. But they just made it came out that they tried to lowball Westworld for season 5. And when they said, no, we're not taking a pay cut, not only did they cancel season 5,
Yeah.
but now they are removing all of Westworld
That's
and
what got me
Raised
triggered.
by Wolves and all these amazing HBO Max originals that you couldn't see anywhere else are now going away.
And this is strictly money, or
And
is this they're trying to get a new vision?
It
or
is
something?
that stuff is strictly money. When we get back in the first of the year, we'll talk more about where DC's going and where Warner's is going. But right now, this is strictly trying to recoup what was basically a hidden debt that Warner Brothers had cooked the books on. It's basically starting to sound like they're trying to fix fraud.
Is that
But
what's
that
going
doesn't-
on?
that
'Cause you
doesn't-
said they're setting things up where they may sell the
Yeah,
whole thing.
word
So-
is that Apple is interested, Amazon is interested, and Universal are all interested in picking this up once once Discovery has it back in order.
And it's not unheard of that Disney Plus could just buy up the whole
Well,
DC.
well,
thing,
I mean,
right?
they've
what would that
they've
look
talked
like?
about licensing out packages of characters the way Marvel did back in the old days.
Ugh,
And
I don't like
there's
that.
a possibility that there's nothing that says that Disney can't buy up the Batverse.
I don't want DC to start looking like Marvel. I mean, there's a reason that you bought both comic book lines, because you want the variety. So I don't know.
Well, we did. There's a lot of people who will go tooth and nail DC versus Marvel all day long.
I don't know, man.
Hey, I grew up referring to it as dumb comics. I
Okay.
was not a DC camp.
You didn't grow up. You were like 90 when those started.
I have this feeling that all of media and everything's just going to look totally different here in about.
Give it 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. Okay, well, we sort of ended on a sour note, but what are you going to do? I told you today's show was going to be organic, and that's what it is.
We're optimistic that change is good.
Okay. Anyway, but it's time to get out of here. You've been listening to another weird episode of Geek Tank Radio. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Alan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximiliana.
I'm Michaela.
I'm Jackson.
And I'm Brandon Olmsted, letting you know that we will see you again in the new year.